Let's take a look at Disney World's new Avatar Land and the brand new custom Avatar Na'vi.
Careful! Careful! Hey, this is the McGuire Review, and today we're going to be looking at something really cool. I just returned recently from Walt Disney World, and there in one of their parks, the Animal Kingdom Park, which is actually one of my favorites, they have a brand new land, and it is dedicated to Avatar. So there's a whole new area of the park that they've built out that's completely dedicated to the Avatar movie. They light the whole place up at night. It's super awesome. There's interactive stuff throughout the whole area. There's 2 different new rides, and there is a really cool store that you can go in and get what we're going to be taking a look at today, which is this personalized Avatar Na'vi experience. So what's so cool about this is that it actually... hang on. It actually will allow you to go through a setup and customize an avatar to look like you. So we're going to get this out of the pack, and I'm going to kind of talk to you about what that experience is like and what on this you'll be able to customize for your own personalized Na'vi. Now, you will also notice that I do have a baby Banshee here on my shoulder. This is another item that they do have available. Oh, come on. Shh. That they do have available for purchase. I'm a little upset right now. Come here. We are going to be doing a full review on this here as well to show you kind of how that works and how this is moving around on my shoulder. That does have sounds as well as quite a few different movements, so it's a pretty cool item, and this is the box that comes for it. So we will be doing a review on this, so be watching for that, but for today I do want to focus solely on our customized Na'vi experience. So what I will show you here, and I'll just go ahead and leave our baby Banshee right up here on the shoulder. This is the first thing that you're going to get when you go to do this experience, and I call it an experience because they do kind of send you through an entire setup to be able to get this customized Na'vi action figure. So when you check in there at the store in the Avatar area of Animal Kingdom, they're going to give you this really cool little ace card, they call it, and that's just for the Alpha Centauri expeditions from the movie. It does have a personalized little number here. Mine was A559, and this is a nice little novelty, little souvenir that you can actually keep. I was actually wondering when I checked in, and they kind of take your name down, and you have to sign up and kind of get slotted into sort of a, you have your own appointment that you show up to do this. And I just thought this was a card where it's like, hey, if I come back to the appointment, I give them this card, and that indicates I'm in the system and I'm ready to go. But this is actually something that they do allow you to keep, so that's pretty cool. And it is a pretty hard, card, and it does have sort of a transparent, clear look to it. So that's pretty neat little novelty that you do get. So let me explain how this actually works. When it's your appointment time, you will come back, and depending on how busy they are, even on opening weekend, I was there for opening weekend for the Avatar Land, I was able to get in same day. I signed up. I came back a few hours later. I did my session to be able to get this. It took them about an hour and a half or so to make the Na'vi, and then it was presented to me, and I got that, as you see it right here. What we have here is an accessories pack that you can purchase for these. They have quite a few different types. I decided on going with the Warrior pack, mainly because I liked the classic Na'vi bow, as well as the bow and arrow with sheath here, and each one of those arrows are individual. We're going to bring the camera in here in just a minute to take a closer look at this action figure and some of the accessories that we have. But back to the experience. When you show up, you're going to sit down. They're going to put you in some form of... It's kind of like a machine that you sort of sit in, but it's open. So if you're claustrophobic, don't feel that you can't do that. It's completely open. There's a chair. You sit in it. And there is a scanner that comes down. And, one of the cast members will take you through an experience as if you're, you're getting ready to build your own custom Navi and all the information they needed to collect from you to be able to do that. But you're going to sit down, they're going to do a 3D scan of your face and your head. And then what's so awesome about this is they're going to take that 3D scan of you and they're going to create, I believe with 3D printers in the back, a head sculpt that is your face. So this head sculpt is my face. Obviously, there is a certain design to a Navi face that's going to be a little bit different, obviously, than what you look like, mainly through this area right here. But I did notice that even the nose and that the Navi has sort of that wider sort of nose bridge did look different depending on different people's facial structures. And I kind of sat around and watched as different people were presented their Navi, and I kind of looked at the action figure, looked at them, and everything within the face did really change to look like that person. So that was really cool that it did end up looking as much like the person as it possibly could for the price point that you're paying for this experience. This experience will run you about $75, and you will get the little card that we looked at here earlier, as well as the Navi action figure. If you want to add any of the expansion accessories, those packs run for about $14 to $15. Purchase there at the Avatar area, the store that they have there. And I think that is a very fair price for what you're getting here with this particular experience. And I say that because it isn't just like you're walking up, you're paying $75 and they're saying, here you go, here's an Avatar action figure. They're sending you through an entire experience. You're literally getting an action figure that the head sculpt is digitally created from you. So it is literally a personalized action figure. And I thought that was really awesome that they had something like that. And there's quite a few other things that you can personalize with this action figure. You can personalize the markings that are on the face. You can also personalize the color of the eyes. And you can personalize the hair that is on the Navi as well. So I went with more of a full hair with the long braid. They do have the warrior look where you just have the single patch of hair coming out with the long braid. You also can have customized male and female bodies. They do have adult as well as children figures. So you can go and have your whole family made up into a family of Navis if that's something that you want to do, which I actually considered doing, but that does start to get a little more pricey. But that is something that you can do. It is an option and would be pretty cool. So what I'll do now is go ahead and get this out of the package, and we're going to take a look at this much closer. So we're going to bring the camera down, look at this figure really closely so you can see the detail of this figure and just how fantastic the head sculpt is on this. And then what we'll do is we'll look at full articulation of the figure, and I can kind of show you what the articulation looks like on this particular model. So what we'll do now is let's take a quick look at some of the components that you get with the Avatar Maker. So here again is that card you can see here. And it's got, my number was A559, Avatar Maker. It's got some various things on it. It's got the Ace logo right there that you can see. See it's got that little chip on it on the back side. Just has kind of the same thing. It's sort of a see-through, kind of a transparent. You can kind of see that little war axe there behind it. It's got kind of a transparent look to it. So that's a pretty cool little souvenir that you get. Here is the spear. And you can see that here. It's got a nice little paint job on it. Good little paint apps on the top with that yellow. I really like that. Green's got some great sculpting through there. It's pretty good size. Just kind of ends in your standard round tip. And your avatar can hold that. So you can go with a pose with that if you want. Here is the war axe. It looks pretty cool. It's got a few different colors on it there. A couple different browns. We'll zoom in on this a little bit because it does have some sculpting and some banding right here on the bottom as well as in the middle, which I thought was a nice little touch. And then kind of has sort of that Navi bone-like look there at the top. Here is the warrior knife. Now this is a little bit different than the hunter knife. The hunter knife Does have a little bit of a different look. This is the warrior knife, and I like this one. It's got a really good look to it. Nice paint job with the white, kind of the blue ghosted into it. Looks really, really good. And this is on a hinge here, so this does sort of hinge out of there, so you can kind of do a couple different looks with it if you want to. And this is, all these items are right from the movie. You can find these in Avatar the movie on various different Navi. So that one looks pretty good. You can kind of see under there, it's got kind of some sculpting to make it look like it's a piece of bone. So they did a really good job. I mean, for the price point for these little items here as accessories, they did a nice job on those items. So now let's get to the actual figure itself. So I'm going to start right down here at the bottom, and we're going to take a look at the feet. Now, I will tell you that the articulation is decent on this action figure. It's not going to be something that's going to have a high level of articulation, but it is pretty good. I don't see anywhere where it actually indicates the points of articulation on this particular piece, but it's not bad. So when you look at the ankles here, they are going to go front to back and full swivel. They're not going to have any ankle pivot at all, but with the height on this figure, by bending these knees, I haven't had any problems yet in getting it in any poses. Now, if you want to get a really high dynamic, very low base pose, you might have some issues with that. But other than that, it works pretty well. And I'm going to have mine standing up because I really want to show the height of this figure as it being a Navi. So they did a nice job here on the toes. You can see nice sculpt there on the toes with the toenails sculpted out. We'll move up here. There is some areas where it kind of have some banding that's around on the sculpt. You can see there. These are single joint knees. They are not double, they're single. You've got the markings that run along the Navi, so kind of the traditional markings there. Now the hip joints do go all the way out, full 90. They go forward and backwards, more forward than backward. And they are on a ratchet joint. So those are ratchet. You can see there is some sculpting under the little tunic type thing here that hangs down. So that is sculpted on, and then they add this little cloth piece that hangs down, which I thought was a nice touch. I'm glad they did that, and I'll show you how it straps around the back there, around the tail. As we move up, we've got the chest sculpt. Again, look at those markings. Fairly decent little sculpting there on the muscle tones. So that looks pretty nice. Move up here to the arms. The arms are also on ratchet joints, and they do have some decent movement to them. The elbows are single joint elbows. And then again, here's some more kind of banding and sculpting that goes around the figure. That's painted up nice. I got some nice paint apps on that. I really like the arm guards that they did on this particular model here. That looks pretty good. Kind of gives you that sort of kind of leather patching on that arm guard. The wrists are full swivel back and forth. And now we'll take a look at the bow. Now I know this may look a little pink on the camera here, but it is not. It is a red. It's a light red. It is not pink, but it does look pink here for me. And you can see that whole bow. There's some sculpting that goes up the top. So that looks pretty nice. I do like the bow. I will say the bow here, this piece is pliable. It's a flexible piece. It is not a string. It is a piece of plastic, but it does pull a little bit, and it is pliable. So if you wanted to do a pose where he was actually pulling on the string, and maybe you could get it to where he was kind of knocking an arrow, that might be a little bit difficult because the arrows, and I'll show those here in a second, they are not designed to knock on this. So they do not have any cuts on them that will actually knock into the string. Nor is there anything up here that will hold that, and that's okay. I mean, you can still pose it up that way if you wanted to, but that is pliable, so it does give you the option to do something with it. We'll get in here on the face sculpt because I think this is the coolest part. So you can see that there are markings on the face, and again, you can customize those markings. So there's quite a few different choices. This is the one that I went with. You can see here they do have a nice paint job here on the nose and the mouth. And then those bright eyes, there you can see, and again, I went with the green, so that is a green eye. And those are really cool. The eye is not like a painted eye. It's actually a little piece of plastic, I believe. I don't believe those are glass. I think those are plastic, and they are inserted into the sculpt. So it's not just a painted eye, so it looks a lot more realistic. We will continue our journey of Pandora here with that sculpting on this hair. You can see that does go all the way down the back side. There's kind of a little bandana type, a little tie there in the hair. The braiding goes all the way down, and you can see there that sculpting does go all the way down. There's the tail, and there's what I was talking about, where that little cloth piece is sort of hooked on to the tail. You can see right there, tail comes all the way down, and there is some sculpting that's at the bottom there. Now, I have taken the bow and arrow off. We will set this model down here for a second, because I did want to show these pieces specifically, because they're done really well. So there is a little area here where this peg just sort of comes on and off when you want to put the quiver on your Navi. So you can pop that on and off, just makes it easier to get in. But they did a really good job on this particular accessory. I like all the different sculpting that's on this. It is just one brown, but it's got a really high level of sculpting. And you can see that the arrows are out. And again, that's one of my favorite parts of this piece, is that all 4 arrows are separate. They got some nice paint apps and some nice sculpting. You can see all 4 of those here being separate all the way up to the feathers at the top. Now again, these do not knock in that bow, but there's lots of different posing options that you do have, because they have given you these arrows each individual and separate. They look really cool in the quiver as well, like that, as we saw a little bit earlier. So those are all the accessories and the close-up on the model. What we're going to do now is go ahead and get the model, and I'll show you just kind of what range of articulation you do get with this particular piece. All right, now that we've taken a look a little closer at the actual model, I've kind of put him here in a sort of a running, sliding, throwing a spear kind of pose, just to kind of show that it is completely possible to do those more dynamic poses if you are looking to. And you can see that even with the level of articulation that is available on this particular model, it isn't really hindering anything. I know some people are going to be a little concerned from a figure perspective with the single joint elbows and knees, but as you can see, there's still a nice level of dynamic posing that you can do, just due to the size and the length of the actual arms and legs. Let's go ahead and look at the actual figure now and get a feel for what the articulation is going to be. Here at the end, we will have some pictures in some more poses, so I will go ahead and do some poses with the bow to show you kind of what that looks like. My favorite is probably posing it up with the bow and the arrows. I've got kind of a cool pose where he's kind of reaching back, pulling one of the arrows out, holding the bow, getting ready to knock it. So that's pretty cool. So let's get him. Whoop, hang on. Oh, come on. Careful. Careful. Oh, that's a good baby. That's a good baby. So if we look at the ankles here, it does have the forward that much. Well, I'm sorry, forward that much and back that much, or down. You do have a full rotation. There is no ankle pivot, but again, as you saw, I don't think that really hinders the articulation or anything, any type of poses I've put it in so far. We look at the knees. It is a single joint knee, so you can go back that far, but again, you can bend that leg back, tipping that toe up, and giving yourself that much, which is probably going to be about as much as you're going to want on a model like that. Okay, so moving right up to the hip joints, these are ratchet joints, so they do click and stay in place pretty well. They do go up that far. So full kick out, and you saw a second ago how far they go back. They do move out at more than actually a full 90, but you do want to be careful as there is sort of a edge there to the plastic, and you don't want to scratch that along those markings that you have on the figure. You might end up scratching the paint. I don't know, I haven't yet, but I've been careful with it, so you don't want to really, you know, push it up too much farther, I would say, than 90 degrees if there was a reason that you would want to have his foot, you know, kind of all the way out for one reason or the other that way. You know, he could be doing some ballet work, you know, I guess. So, you know, to each his own, however you want to set your figure up. So moving to the abdomen here, it does have some movement to it that you're going to get. So it does give a little bit to the side, not a lot, but a little. You do have a forward crunch, just a little, and you do have a back actually a little bit further. It actually goes a little further back than it does actually forward, but it does have a forward crunch to it, and that is a kind of a ball peg on there. So you know, I don't want to separate it, but it is basically a ball peg that looks like it's holding it in there for the waist joint. Now moving into the arms, these are ratchet as well, and these are very tight. You can actually hear that right on camera. These are very tight ratchet joints, which is good, and I'm happy about that, because anytime you have them holding accessories, these are all very, very light accessories. They don't have really any weight to them whatsoever. But again, the tighter these joints can be, the better on figures like this, especially if you're going to be having them hold any type of item. Over time, that arm won't drop down. So I'm glad that they went with a nice tight ratchet joint there. That will give you a full 360 all the way around. You can put that up again pretty high, but again, watch for that paint on there. You don't want to scratch that, so I wouldn't go much higher than what that has right there. It's about as high as that's going to go up. And then you will get a full 360 on the elbow. It is a single joint on the elbow as well. You do get a little bending both ways, so that's about straight. Gives you a little bit more there, and then you will have that much kind of coming up there. The wrist will give you the back and forth hinge, as well as on a full swivel all the way around. On the neck joint, you're going to get a little bit side to side tilt. You're going to get a little bit forward. Move that arm out of the way. Just a little bit looking down, so you can see that much down. You're going to get that much up. Now you're going to get more down here than you are up, and the reason is because of the hair sculpt piece that I chose. If you went with the Warrior that doesn't have the hindrance of this part right here, you probably would get a little bit more neck going up, but that's how much you're going to get on this particular model. And then there is a very nice side to side, and you can technically swivel this all the way around. I don't know why you would want to do that, but this does give you a full range of motion and looking from side to side, which is actually really nice if you want to get kind of a knee down sort of dynamic pose where he's really stretching his neck around and kind of looking side to side. So I was happy that that has a really good side to side. So that's going to be the articulation for this particular piece. I will say the fig has a pretty good, I wouldn't say it's extremely heavy, but it is heavier than it looks. And I was surprised by that as well. They definitely put some weight in this figure, and it the legs are pretty solid, but it also feels like there's some decent weight here in the chest area. And I was surprised by that it does have some weight to it. But that weight actually really helps out when you put the figure in various different poses, specifically the dynamic poses, and being able to get that figure to, stand up straight and not have any problems. This is a pretty good sized figure, and generally some of the things you're going to run into issue-wise with these larger figures like this are going to be center of gravity issues. So when it's standing up, will it stay standing up? Is it just going to fall over? This seems to be designed pretty well as far as how it's weighted, and the design and the style of, or mainly the size of the feet, kind of holding that figure up. And I can show you here, I can shake this table a little bit, and you can see it's not, it's not falling over, which is a good sign. Usually a figure of this size, standing up on a table like this with the slender legs, heavier torso is probably going to topple over. And you can just see I shook the table a little bit, and it didn't. Now, if I really gave it a good shake, it's going to fall over. But again, I mean, you're looking for, once you put it on the shelf, once you put it in a case, somebody bumps the case, bumps the shelf, you don't want everything falling over. I don't think you're going to have that issue with this particular figure, and that's really good. So I was happy about that. You can also see the case here. If you do want to put it back in the case for display purposes, you can. There's nothing wrong with that as well. The case is very cool. If you want to make it look like it's just sort of in one of those growth pods, you can probably kind of pull that off with this. I will say that the insert here inside the actual material that the Navi is packaged into, that does slide right out. So if you want to pull that out and have more of that completely clear case, you can do that, which actually looks really cool. I probably will take my insert out of here, and you can see that just slides simply right out. That's just the packaging there, and probably keep this just as a clear case. I'll probably put it in the case with the Navi just because I think the packaging looks really cool. So that is the Avatar Land part of Walt Disney World Animal Kingdom Parks experience and figure. Again, the custom head sculpt is by far one of the coolest things that I've seen, especially at the Disney parks. I mean, $75 to get your own custom 3D scan personalized action figure. That's worth it to me. I thought that was pretty cool for the price point. I don't know. I think it looks like me. You guys can tell me if you think different. You saw the head sculpt up close when I did the review of the actual figure. Tell me in the comments if you think it looks like me or not. I've had a lot of people tell me that it does look like me, my facial sculpt. And it should, because it's based off of the 3D scan that they do. And I will say again, looking at other people's as they were getting them, they did resemble and look just like those people's. So great job, Disney. This was a ton of fun. I now have my own personalized Avatar Navi. Yes! We will be doing a review on the baby Banshee here that I have, so look forward to that as well. I do want to talk a little bit more about this and how this particular puppet, because that's what it is, works. It is not all battery powered. I am controlling it, and I'll show you how all that works in a future video. So hit that like, click the subscribe below to join the team, ring the bell. This has been the McGuire Review, and we'll see you next time.